can see I've got the tool. I'm going to show you this. It clamps into a vise, a bench vise. So here's what it looks like. And clamp it into your bench vise. You slide your clutch right over the top. So turn your clutch so you've got your the snap ring facing you. And then this is the other part of the tool. It's this top yoke that goes over it. There's a washer and a nut. Run that nut down. Okay, now once it's run down there, all you have to do is give it about a half a turn here, and it takes the spring pressure off the snap ring in here. You have a snap ring tool. We'll open that snap ring up and pull it all the way to the top. You can start loosening this. Now you're going to relieve the tension off that driven spring, and the yoke, the housing over the top of the spring is going to come up out of the clutch. And I'll show you what this looks like. We've got our snap ring. We've got this yoke that the spring seats in here, and our spring that came out. That's all there is in the driven clutch. I'll show you what's in there. So that's all there is to it. Now there's a little trick to reassembling this. If you look closely, it's splined all the way around, all these teeth, but at one point there's a double wide tooth. That's always on an end with one of the rollers. That obviously needs to align with a double wide tooth down here on the clutch shaft. So you find that location. I've got it right here. So typically what I do then is make a mark up on the top of this shaft so I can tell where it's at. Install your spring. Make sure you find the side on this where the double tooth is, and bring it down right over that mark. Don't forget your snap ring. I've compressed a lot of springs in here only to realize I forgot the snap ring and I had to take it apart again. Reinstall the other part of the compression tool. And now as you slowly tighten this nut down, you're going to keep your hand right on this piece here, because you can move it back and forth a little bit. And as the splined part on the shaft reaches this top housing, they're either going to slide together, or they're going to kind of get stuck, and you'll feel your wrench tighten up. You need to back off a little bit and just move it, just a half a tooth either direction until you mate those two double wide teeth together. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating. You feel like it takes a dozen tries, and then the next time you do it, you hit it dead on the first try, and I think I hit it right on there. Once you get down far enough, you need to get the snap ring started. I just started it onto the shaft. I'm going to continue compressing that, and I did hit those teeth dead on. I always brag about the fact that I can usually hit it dead on, so now I've got proof on camera so the other guys in the shop will believe me. Okay, make sure the snap ring is brought all the way down and seats in the groove down there, and we're done with this process. As soon as I give this a turn back, it's loose already because the snap ring is holding it in. And that's all there is to installing the spring in the secondary. Okay, we're going to reinstall the helix, or install the new helix that came with your kit. Again, just make sure now that there's no orientation on here. as you know, correct or incorrect. It's just a matter of making sure that the rollers are aligned in the roller tracks here. So we slide that down. Now what happens, because you've had this housing out of the clutch, this isn't always installed correctly to allow you to line these holes up with the bolt holes in the clutch housing. So as I drop it down, you can see I need these holes to twist way over here. Now sometimes you can just do it by hand. It might be under a little pressure, and that's perfectly fine, because as soon as you start driving the vehicle, this will all self-adjust and be where it needs to be. Sometimes you're off far enough where you can't turn this and get the holes to line up. Don't worry, it's just a matter of take the cover off and with your hand turn this in here. And it's just fighting the spring a little bit, but you can get that turned to a better angle. So then as you drop this down, our holes align real easily. There's a little, I would say that's about a 1/16 of an inch, where it presses into the clutch. Sometimes you can pop it in by hand, like that. Other times you can't quite do that. Use a soft mallet, a rubber mallet, tap around it until it snaps down. We've got our 4 retaining bolts here. If you are reassembling your machine and you have no plans on ever taking it apart again, I would recommend putting some Loctite on these. Just some of the medium strength blue is fine. We take our machines apart enough that we're not going to do it on this one. Just like on the primary clutch cover bolts, be real careful with these. You can strip out this aluminum clutch housing pretty easily. Snug them up. And we're done with that. So we've changed out the spring and the helix, and we've changed out the weights and the spring on our primary. We're ready to put the clutches back on the machine.